That's what made me like love this series.
How will Jessa change my mind? This entire book just felt like a giant heartbreak.
I didn't like love it, but it was a fun read, and I'm really curious to see what you think of it, because it's like...
Hi everyone, it's me. Welcome to today's video. I am so excited for this reading vlog because bestie Freya is going to be choosing my reads for the week, and I'm also going to be choosing her reads for the week as well. So after you watch this video, definitely watch her video so you can see what books I chose for her. We are about to go through each other's TBRs and yeah, just choose a couple books for each other to read. I'm really excited because I know we have such similar book tastes. Let's pick each other's reads. I'm so excited.
35 degrees. And I see like everyone like in their like with their like cups of hot chocolate and like in hoodies, and I'm like, I want to do that.
Okay, so we'll pick my books first?
Yeah.
Okay, so I need to give you a gigantic tour of my TBR. So we have, hold on.
Oh my god, there's so many options.
Should I go closer? Can you like see them?
No, I can see pretty well. Okay, I already have like 2 I want you to read. How many am I picking actually?
Oh, I feel like usually in a video I do 3.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say do the same.
Okay. Oh, I also have, hold on. I also have these 2. They're on my April TBR, so we'll just add them to the pile. Yeah, this is the gigantic TBR. Do you want a tour of the back?
Yeah, you know what, let's see it.
Are you done with the front? Okay, I think these 2 are series, so I can't read those yet, but
yeah, okay.
that's good. These are all readable. Also, these 2 lovely box sets down here. There's those little guys. There's these.
Oh, okay. Hang on, can I see the front again?
What, you didn't memorize them?
I know, right? How bad of me. Yeah, okay. I have my picks. Okay, I feel like the first one's obvious. I'm gonna go, I can't tell which Magnolia parks you're up to, but whatever Magnolia parks you're up to.
I think I knew you were gonna say that. It's this one.
Yeah, okay, that's like my favorite.
Is it?
But yeah, that's what made me like love the series. Like the first 2 I was like, oh, it's like good, but then that one like made me fall in love with it. So I really want to read it.
Okay, yeah, because I don't love Magnolia right now.
Oh no, and I hated BJ literally until the last book. Like I hated
Until the last book? Okay, but after this one you liked Magnolia.
Yeah,
at least.
I loved Magnolia after this one.
Okay, I knew you were gonna pick this one.
Yeah, I felt like that was pretty obvious, but anyway. I feel like most of them are pretty obvious, honestly.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're gonna, yeah, okay, go.
The next book is The Game's Guns.
I knew it. I literally knew it.
So predictable. I feel like it's a really easy read, so I feel like you'll like.
Okay, it's so pretty too.
Oh my god, you have a spray. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. My friend, like, oh my god, you guys get such better books than we do. Like, we never get sprayed edges here.
Really?
Like, pretty much all of my sprayed edges have been sent to me from the US.
Oh, I feel like everything now is like a sprayed edge. Like even if it's a plain sprayed edge, everything is just a sprayed edge.
So I think I literally have like 2 sprayed edges.
But you know when sometimes they like stick together?
Yeah, I know. And also like I feel like I'm always so scared reading them. Okay, third book. I think I'm gonna go Immortal Dark.
Plot twist.
I was like, I've got to pick something a little bit out there.
I thought you were gonna do An Ember in the Ashes.
Oh my god, I didn't even see that.
It's because it's the other cover.
Oh my god, okay. Okay, well yeah, you need to read that anyway soon, so just read that.
Okay, Immortal Dark.
No, I liked that one. I didn't love it, but it was a fun read, and I'm really curious to see what you think of it, because it's like dark academia vibes.
Ooh, is this a series?
I think so, but it's only like 1. I don't know if it's just going to be like a duology or like a bigger series. I think it's just a duology, I'm not sure. Different. I haven't like read something like that in a long time, so.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what you think of that.
It's so funny that this is an arc from September.
I have the arc edition as well. I think it just looks like completely different.
Oh wait, that's yours?
Yeah, they look like completely different. Like mine doesn't even have a cover.
I feel like your arcs always look cool because they look different.
They're so different. Like my Cruel is the Light, like this is the like actual cover, and then the arc edition was like that.
Okay, but that's so cool.
It's really cool, but it looks like nothing.
But it's even cooler. I'm gonna take you on a tour. My funniest one is Phantasma. This is the spine.
Oh.
Anyways.
Alright, I feel like I'm pretty I'm happy. I'm excited to see your thoughts on them.
Okay, I'm excited. I feel like there's a good variety. Do you have an order out of these 3?
The only one I'm gonna Magnolia Parks first, just because I really want to see you.
First. Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, it kind of broke me a little bit, but like in the best way.
I'm actually so curious because yeah, like I can't see myself feeling anything for Magnolia right now, but yeah, I'm like
I hated Magnolia. I like Daisy. I really like Daisy.
Yes.
I actually apart from like, I don't know, the last book, like Into the Dark was really good, but I like Daisy's books more. But like Long Way Home was, I feel like you get more of the characters all together, which is what I like. So like it wasn't just like Magnolia and BJ like the first book.
Okay,
I
fun.
need to reread, honestly. I haven't read them in such long time.
Could read them with me. Okay, it is the next day. I couldn't start reading my first book yesterday because I was actually finishing Ready or Not for another reading vlog, but I finished that. I literally just finished that like a minute ago. But these are the books that Bestie Freya has picked. I'm gonna do Magnolia Parks first since that is the one that she picked for us to read first. And then out of these two, I'm not entirely sure of which one I'm gonna tackle first, to be honest. I think maybe we'll just see where we are at the end of Long Way Home, how I'm feeling, and we'll tackle these as we go. Like if I want something a little darker, maybe we go with Immortal Dark first, and then if we want something, I think the Games Gods Play is like a trial thing, more like upbeat high fantasy. I think if we're in that mood, we'll do this one first. But either way, we're gonna read these 3 books this week. I'm so excited at the one she chose. It's so funny. I knew she was gonna pick a Magnolia Parks book and the Games Gods Play. I knew these 2 for sure, but then I thought the third one for sure would have been An Ember in the Ashes. But to be fair, my version has a different spine, so it's not as easily recognizable. So I kind of like how she threw in Immortal Dark because I have been really intrigued at reading this. Again, I've had this book for a long time. I received the book before September because this book came out in September of last year, and I don't know why I still haven't read it, but I remember even when I first got it, I was like, wow, this sounds so intriguing. But yeah, we're gonna start with The Long Way Home. It's been a couple months since I finished the last book, the Daisy Hates book. I am excited to get back into this world. I think there is something really special about Jessa Hastings' writing. Even though I didn't love the first Magnolia book, I think the way she writes is very unique. It's a writing style like no other, and I like her books because they're not fully just like, they're not romance books. Like they are based on relationships primarily, but they're not written as romances. They're not structured as romances. They feel like fiction. Like they feel like drama books. And yeah, I didn't love Magnolia Parks. I loved Daisy Hates, and I've heard this is the book that convinces you to love the series, and Freya has also said that. I am really curious to see how I will feel about Magnolia by the end of this book because you guys heard this is the book that convinced Freya on Magnolia. She still hated BJ, but at least she liked Magnolia. So I'm just really excited, to be honest, to let Jessa Hastings take me on this journey, and I love changing my mind about characters. I'm in. Let's do it. I don't know if it's Freya getting into my head with her thoughts, but I feel like I already love Magnolia a lot better at this book. And I've read 40 pages. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm in her head again, and like while I was reading Daisy's book, I was like, Daisy doesn't like Magnolia, so I'm like, I didn't like Magnolia. But no, because when I was reading the first Magnolia Parks book, I didn't like Magnolia either, and I was in her head in that book. I don't know, I feel like she's just gone through growth off screen already, or off the page, not off screen. We're reading, we're not watching. Without any like specific details or spoilers, at the end of the first Magnolia book, you learn something, like something gets revealed that is like really dramatic, really big, very traumatizing for Magnolia. Definitely sucks for Magnolia. I felt for the girl in that moment. She ends up leaving, like flying across the world to somewhere else just to like get some space. And this book, The Long Way Home, is like her homecoming. And so there is a time gap between the first book and this one, and some of that time was filled with Daisy's book, but obviously we don't get like a close look into Magnolia's story. We got like little sneak peeks of what was happening on the Magnolia side in the Daisy book, but we have a time jump. We're not starting at the point where Magnolia left. We're starting at the point where it's been a year and Magnolia is coming back. But I feel like she's done a lot of growth in the past year. I can kind of see it already in her head with the way she thinks of how her own actions affect the people around her. I feel like she was really unaware of that in the first book, and that's one of the things that I did not like about her at all. Like, she's just very self-centered. She just thinks about herself and like no one else. It doesn't matter what happens to everyone else. And I think she's already more aware. She's just more aware of her surroundings, and I'm liking that a lot. I still despise BJ. I still hate BJ. I cannot see how BJ can be redeemed in my head, but I will stick to the series. I have Into the Dark. It's on my cart here beside me here. Let me show you for proof. I have Into the Dark. I'm committed. I'm committed to finishing the series and seeing where Jessa takes us and seeing if she can convince me on BJ. But just like from the things that he's done already, I'm like, I feel like you're irredeemable in my mind. But I have heard so many people say that his journey and his growth is one of its kind. So yeah, I'm sticking to it because I'm so curious. I'm like, how will Jessa change my mind about him? I'm enjoying this so far. I feel like I always enjoy Jessa's writing, even with the first Magnolia book, which was mixed for me. I actually liked like the first, maybe even the first half of it. I like her writing. I think she has a really interesting writing style. She's really good at setting up these really dramatic scenes, and sometimes we live for the drama. Like, we want the gossip, we want the tea, and that's what Jessa does in her books for us. But I found the first book just got so repetitive with the things that were happening over and over and over again, and that's the main issue I had with the first book. Is I just got bored of the same situations, like the same messy situations. I wanted variety, and so I'm hoping for that in this book. But we've only literally just nibbled the top of this book, and we have a lot of reading left to do, so let's do it. The December 3rd thing. Oh, I read it last night and I can't stop thinking about it, and I think Jessa has converted me officially. Okay, the thing about Magnolia is I don't even think she is bothering me anymore. I don't think I dislike her because of her, at least in this book. I think I get annoyed at her because of what everyone, like how everyone acts around her. Just like not her fault, but she kind of feeds into it. The way everyone is just obsessed with her and she is the center of everyone's universe. I feel like Daisy doesn't get that treatment, like a little bit, but Daisy feels more like a real person, but Magnolia feels like just this like god. She doesn't try to stop this behavior. Like, she likes it and she feeds off of it. But yeah, this December 3rd reveal is, ugh, like, girl has gone through a lot, and I feel like I understand why they are so attached to each other now. Everything makes a lot more sense now. I feel like I'm definitely starting to feel the magic of Jessa and this world she's created. I can definitely see what Freya mentioned about how this one, like, we get everyone together and not just Magnolia and BJ. I also am really appreciating how Jessa writes multi-POV or dual POV. I don't know if we'll get other POVs in here. So far it's just Magnolia and BJ in this one. Her multi-POV or dual POVs truly feel like you are reading from different characters' minds. I feel like sometimes, especially with romance books, to be honest, when we get something like dual POV, when you flip through those POVs, the writing doesn't change that much. It feels more just like you are being told what the other character is thinking, but the writing stays the same. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes I'll be reading multi-POV or dual POV and I'll be reading a chapter, and sometimes I'll get lost. Like, I'll forget which POV we're in because the writing is so similar and the heads of the two characters feel really similar. And I don't love when that happens, when POVs just like feel and sound the same. But Jessa really puts you in the head of that other character, where like the writing style ever so subtly changes. You really feel like you're in that other person's head. And so it's very clear when you're switching the POVs and you know like whose brain you're in. You just get a deeper experience that way, and you truly feel like you're like deep in this character's head versus just listening to their thoughts or being told their thoughts, if that makes sense. So I really appreciate that about her writing, and her storytelling is obviously really strong. I feel like I am invested so much more in these characters, especially after that big reveal about December 3rd. Oh my goodness, I feel like that changed everything, and I kind of wish I knew that while reading the first Magnolia book. But then again, because I didn't know all that through the first Magnolia book, it's making this book a lot more powerful. Obviously, authors are very strategic in the order that they reveal things, and there's a reason for it. And so I'm feeling it, you know? I'm getting into it. I'm understanding the Jessa Hastings Magnolia Parks magic that everyone feels, and I'm happy about it. I'm glad I'm finally feeling it. So far, this is really well done. I like the story a lot more. It feels less repetitive. There are more different things happening, more complex things happening. I do have some editing and stuff to do today. I'm gonna be sat here at my computer for the next little bit, but I hope to do some good reading today as well. Okay, so we finished The Long Way Home. So I did just like power through the last half of this book. These books are like almost 600 pages long. This one, hold on, let's see the actual page count, 592. Yeah, so very long books, and they do read fairly quick, but yeah, they are quite long, and I have my thoughts, okay? I have my thoughts. We'll start with things I like. This is way better than the first Magnolia book. I still do like the Daisy Hates book over this one, so I'm still more on the Daisy side of things, but as I mentioned, I think Jessa Hastings writes POVs very well. You really feel for the characters. This entire book just felt like a giant heartbreak, but in a good way, because I like when books make me feel things. I loved how in this book we get these reveals that make Magnolia and BJ's actions make a lot more sense. Like, I think a big part of why I didn't understand the first book was like I didn't understand why these two gravitated towards each other and like just couldn't leave each other's orbit. Like, they were so stuck together even though they were doing all these horrible things to each other. I didn't understand why they had this pull, and you do get a big reveal in this one that explains that. Also, when that big reveal happened, I found myself just kind of excusing the things that they did to each other, like all the stuff they did in the past. I was like, okay, we'll start with a clean slate, because now that I know of the trauma these two went through, I don't know, their actions, they're not acceptable, but in this universe, they were more acceptable to me. Because that's another thing about these books, is we're really in this alternate universe world. Like, we are not in real world here. I know we're technically in the real world, but in this universe, it is a fictional universe where the morals and the rules of our actual real world do not apply. Like, the standards are so different. Like, if people actually did this stuff in real life, like in my life, they'd be cut out of my life immediately. Like, there's no way, there's no coming back from this. But Jessa has created this really, alternative world where people get away with more things, because in this society those actions are like more normal. It seems like everyone's kind of doing some sort of iteration of these like horrible things to each other. It's really interesting to read. It's really interesting to read, and it's funny how even I find myself excusing some of the things these characters are doing to each other sometimes, just because you get so caught up in this alternate universe. I also really like how this book ended. I think we did see some growth in the characters. They're still not perfect. They're still not perfect by any means. I think the characters, Magnolia and BJ specifically, are still very flawed people. They're still very toxic people, but you do get a bit of growth in there by the end, and I liked that. So I love the way this book started. I love the way it ended. The part in the middle is what annoyed me. It reminded me of what I felt when I was reading the first Magnolia book, where things were just like so repetitive. Like, these two characters just kept doing the same things to each other over and over and over again, and we got a lot of that bit of repetition in the middle. And while I understand why it has to be there, it didn't have to be that much. I feel like we could have trimmed like at least 150 pages out of the middle and we would still have gotten the same effect. After reading this, my thoughts on Magnolia and BJ have definitely changed. I still don't like BJ. Magnolia, I do like her character more than I did after reading the first and second books in the series, but I'm still not in love with her, but I am invested in the two of them together. Like, I don't even necessarily like the two of them together, but I'm more just like addicted to the two of them together. I definitely see how the series is progressing and getting better, and I can see the foundations of their next book being really good, but I'm still not sold on these two characters, although I'm much more sold now than I was before I started this book. I am, though, very excited to pick up the next Daisy book. I definitely will be continuing with the series because I do like reading about these characters. Like, the friends, like this entire group of characters are just so fun to read about. That'll be a 3.5. Definitely like miles better than the first book. Let's pick up our next Freya book pick. So we have The Games Gods Play and Immortal Dark. I honestly, out of these two, have no preference of what I want to read next. I don't even know what I'm in the mood for right now. So let's do something fun and let's read the first sentence from each book to see which one hooks me in. Okay, this is the Immortal Dark first sentence of the prologue. Visible through the candlelit window of Uxley University. Am I saying that right? Probably not. A campus as ancient as the creatures it housed, the dean and her vampire sat in private conversation. Okay, mysterious, intriguing, definitely dark academia magic vibes. Let's see the game's gods play. F the gods. I got so close, so damn close to finally reaching my goal, finally seeing my curse broken, and maybe, just maybe, finally feeling the love for the one man I long for. Interesting, interesting. You know what? I've just read a book that is filled with longing, okay? So this one sounds like it'll be more romantic longing. Let's do Immortal Dark next, just for a change of pace, to mix things up for a little bit of fun. Yeah, we'll do Immortal Dark next. Alright, I am 140 pages in. This is actually proving to be quite a quick read. It is, as I mentioned, a dark academia, horror, gothic, like vampire fantasy. I think there's a romance that's gonna come up. It hasn't quite gotten to the romantic part yet. And at this university, vampires and humans have learned to coexist together, like almost at peace, maybe. Like there's some weird things going on behind the scenes, but pretty much if you look at humans and vampires here, they have learned to like regulate themselves and live in peace, coexist with each other. Basically, vampires can only drink from like 80 family bloodlines, and these families are all kind of in this network at the university. They all like live on campus, they have different houses, and a human has to go through this like companionship ceremony thing. They have to willingly become the companion of a vampire before a vampire can drink their blood. And there's like more regulations. Vampires can't just like turn a human into a vampire without consequence. If they decide to turn a human into a vampire, they have to give up their own life, like their own immortality. So there's a lot of stuff that helps keep everything in check. And then our main character, Kiden, I don't really know how to say her name. It's Kiden. She, as a young child, lost her parents, and then her aunt took her away from this university because her aunt wanted her and her sister to live a different sort of a life free from these vampires and just like get away from this cycle. But her bloodline is one of the 80 bloodlines that belong to the companionship of these vampires. At the beginning of the book, her sister goes missing, and then her aunt, which is like their last living ancestor, passes away. And so Kiden gets summoned to the university as like the next in line, because either she will take over her house and her family name and everything, or the one remaining vampire that is tied to her family will take her house. And she doesn't want the vampire to take the house, so she is kind of forced in this situation to go back, and she also wants to figure out what happened to her sister, who she suspects a vampire has kidnapped. It's definitely very dark academia. It's more dark academia than fantasy to me. Like, yes, we have vampires, and yeah, we have obviously this sort of like paranormal magical stuff, but I feel like the course of the story and the structure and what we're focusing on, it feels very dark academia. Like, we have study groups, we are in class, like it's definitely very much a dark academia story mixed in with horror. I'm enjoying it so far. I don't know if it's my favorite. I think there's something about the writing that is not getting along with my brain. I don't know if this is just me, but I had to read the prologue 5 times because there are 2 characters in the prologue, and for some reason I could not for the life of me comprehend who was female and who was male, because it was clear that one was a he and one was a she, but I was like, some sentences kind of hinted to both characters being female, but then there was one sentence that I was like, oh, is the dean a male? And then I was like, oh, is the vampire a male? And it was very confusing. I eventually got it in the end. The dean is a female and the vampire she was with is a male, but just things like that. And as I keep reading it, I keep having to go back and be like, wait, what did that sentence mean? I don't know. There's something weird going on, because I don't think the writing's like difficult to read or like especially complex, but I think it's just not like getting along with my brain. So that's just an observation, but I am enjoying the story so far. I am curious to see where everything goes. It is one of those books that is not entirely predictable, which I like. Like, there are several different ways that the story could go. It's very moody. I honestly feel like this book would probably have been better as a fall read, seeing as it came out in September, and it probably would have been the perfect October-November read, but we are reading it in the spring because because I pushed it back. That is my own fault. And yeah, I'm curious to see where it's going. I know who the love interest is going to be, but this is a book that feels like a true enemies to lovers. At this point in time, I cannot see how we will get there. Like, there's no hint at any chemistry yet. It's definitely not insta-love. It feels true enemies to lovers, which is very rare to find. I'm also excited to see like how that relationship forms. We're gonna keep reading. My heat has just turned on, so that is my sign to stop yapping. Okay, I finished Immortal Dark. I'm a little torn about this one. I think I'm very, very middle of the road. On one hand, I really liked the atmosphere of this book and the setup, and I think the story had a lot of potential to be really good. There was a lot of vampire lore in here. There was also a lot of East African mythology that influenced the story, which I think is really cool. It's something unique, and yeah, it's just something that I have not read a lot about, so I enjoyed a lot of those aspects about this book, but I think I just didn't understand the purpose of the story, or like the purpose of our characters, or where everyone wanted to go and what anyone wanted to do. Like, I didn't understand what Kidan wanted to do. I didn't understand what Sushenyosh, I have no idea how to say the male main character's name. I didn't know what he wanted to do. I didn't know what anyone's purpose was. And at some points where I was like, oh, I'm pretty sure she wants to accomplish this, it seemed like she was doing the wrong things to accomplish what she wanted to do. Like, I didn't understand the motive behind a lot of the decisions that were made by the characters. And I also feel like the intentions of the characters were so confusing because they kept switching back and forth. Like, this was a very hot and cold book, which I think can be done really well, but in this case, it was confusing for me. It was hard for me to follow the story and like what our goal was at any point in time in the book. So I just kind of gave up on that and started going with the flow, but it didn't make for like the best, like the most immersive reading experience. I know I was mentioning before that this seemed to be like leading up to a true enemies to lovers romance, and I feel like there was so much potential, and it was another one of those things where I just did not understand why the enemies started lovering. Like, when you're doing a true enemies to lovers, it's so difficult to do a true enemies to lovers, and that's why it's very rare to find a true enemies to lovers. This one could have been done very well, but yeah, I just didn't understand why the enemies started lovering, and then even then they were very hot and cold, and maybe that plot will develop more in the sequel. I think this is the start of a trilogy. I'm just unsure. There were also a lot of things I was questioning about the magic system and the rules and the regulations with the vampires living with the humans, and I was actually texting Freya because I was very confused at one point, because there was one thing that, like, it was very well known that vampires were not able to do a specific thing with humans until their like initiation, and this was a major fact that kept being brought up in the plot, and then all of a sudden that rule seemed to have disappeared, and I don't know how. Like, maybe it was brought up but it wasn't explained well enough for me to catch on. There were also some editing things that were weird, but this is an art copy that I'm reading, so I always give art copies grace with that. I know there's still final passes to be done, and I'm sure a lot of the errors I saw have been fixed in the published copy. I'm gonna give this one a 3-star. I'm gonna give it a 3-star, very middle of the road. Again, I really loved the atmosphere, I loved the setup. I think the story was interesting, but it was like the way it was told to us didn't quite work for me. That's Immortal Dark, very different read to Magnolia Parks, which is very fun, but I'm unsure. I am gonna pick up The Games Gods Play Now by Abigail Owen. I've been really excited to read this one. This is like a Greek mythology, trials, underworld kind of a story, and I've heard a lot of good things about this, and it's also just so pretty. Like, I can't resist a pretty book. I actually got this one for Christmas, and yeah, I've been excited to read it ever since. So, The Games Gods Play. Let's dive into this one. I realized I can't pronounce anything because is she Lyra or Lyra?
I've always pronounced it Lyra, but I am not one to go off.
Okay, I'm really liking this. I'm really liking this. I'm having so much fun reading it. Is it a masterpiece? No. I mean, I'm not done reading the book, but from the 100 pages I have read, it's probably not like a masterpiece, but it's just fun. And I feel like this is kind of what I needed right now after reading something as dark as Immortal Dark. This is, I feel like, picking me up again. It's very fast paced. I feel like if you're in a reading slump, this would be a really fun one to read. But this is an urban fantasy, but it's a Greek god urban fantasy. So we are set in modern day San Francisco, but we have this backdrop of Greek gods, which is a very interesting combination. And I didn't know how I'd feel about it, but I'm kind of loving it. We have a main character, Lyra or Lyra. I don't know how to say her name. I keep flip-flopping between Lyra and Lyra in my brain, but she is a thief who lives in San Francisco. She belongs to this like order, like this team of thieves, and she has no one else. She has no family or anything. And when she was a baby, she actually had a curse put on her by Zeus where no one would ever love her or care for her. So she's very much a lone wolf, and she just tries to live her life staying on the down low. In this world, the Greek gods rule. Every 100 years, the gods host this game or contest called the Crucible, where each god will choose a mortal champion to compete in these deadly trials, in this deadly contest. Whichever mortal champion wins, their god becomes the ruler for the next 100 years. Lyra does not want anything to do with it, but obviously she gets dragged into it. So she gets chosen as one of the mortal champions, but not only does she get chosen by Hades, who obviously is big rival of Zeus. They don't like each other. And Hades has never ever entered the Crucible. This is the first time he's doing it, and so he obviously has some sort of a plan cooking up, something going on, and Lyra's just caught up in the middle of it because now she is his champion. It's a really fun story. There are 12 trials, each based on a god. Like each god hosts their own trials that is very themed to them, and it's just so much fun. The plot of this is actually so far reminding me of Phantasma, but just not as dark, like a less sinful, less dark, less gothic version, because in Phantasma we had 9 trials, each hosted by like a different deadly sin, and in this one we have the 12 trials, each hosted by a different Greek god. So there's definitely parallels with the theme trials, and I feel like the books are structured very similar due to that. It's just a lot of fun so far. The dialogue, I will say, is a little bit cringy. Like it's a little bit much, but I do have to remember like this is an urban fantasy, so there is a lot of like modern language used, which is fine, but I don't know, there's something with the dialogue that's like a little cheesy, but it's fine. It's okay. We will forgive because the story is a lot of fun. I do find that the romance so far is happening very quicker than I would have preferred, but I am really excited to read. I feel excited to like pick this book up and to know what happens next, which is a really good thing. I'm just having loads of fun with this one. It's not a literary masterpiece by any means, but sometimes a girl just wants to have fun, and that's what this one is giving me so far. So having fun, yay. Just finished this book. This was honestly just, it was so much fun. As I mentioned, it was fun. It's one of those books that if I like think too hard about, there are definitely some plot holes, some inconsistencies with the world and magic system that come out. It is not the perfect book whatsoever, but it was just fun. I had fun. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything specific to plot, like I don't want to spoil anything, but I think one of the main inconsistencies had to do with her curse. I feel like that should have played a larger role in the plot, but it didn't, and then it was kind of explained away a little bit, or like we didn't really get a full explanation of what the deal was with that curse. It's not the perfect book by any means. There are some errors, there are some issues. I will say the romance wasn't my favorite. This depiction of Hades, I don't know if I'm like fully convinced about it yet. And as I mentioned, it was a really quick romance for me. Like I didn't really feel the build up towards it, but I did really like the found friendships in here. I did like a lot of the interactions with the side characters, and obviously I loved reading about the trials. They were really creative and fun and just like kept the story going. And this is the kind of book that feels a lot shorter than it is. So this book is like, I think it's 520 pages, like around there, but it feels like a 400-page book. Like it reads super, super quick. The writing is really easy. It's very like digestible, and it does have one of those endings that just like sucks you back in and forces you to read the sequel because it puts you in this position where you're like, well, now I need to know how the characters get themselves out of this situation. It forces you back into reading the story and continuing with the sequel, which is not a bad thing because I did enjoy this book. I think for the second book, when it comes out, I will definitely read it, definitely save it for a day when, I don't know, I don't want to use my brain too much and just want to have a good time and enjoy a fun, fast-paced story. I did like the Greek mythology elements to it, like with all the Greek gods and everything. I think we're gonna get even more into that in the second book, but it's not serious. You know, it's kind of like caricatures of the Greek gods. It takes a different direction, a different creative direction, but using the Greek gods as kind of a base. Just truly so much fun. I think I'm settling at a 3.5 here, close to a 3.75 at points, but yeah, I just think there were a few too many little inconsistencies in the plot and the world for it to be a 3.75, but it is a 3.5. It had a lot of fun, and I will definitely be continuing on in the series because yeah, I need to know what happens. I think the best thing about this book was the side characters, like the friendships that we made along the way. Those friendships just really touched my heart and they were really sweet. That's it for the games gods play. So those are the 3 books that Freya picked. Definitely a lot of different reads this week. I had a lot of good variety. I feel like every book had such a different writing style and a different feel and a different story, and everything was obviously a different genre that we read this week. So I think those were really, really good choices by Freya. I had a lot of fun reading this week. I didn't find like a 5-star or anything, but sometimes, honestly, it's like fun reading 3.5 stars sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes, obviously, it's really good finding a 5-star book, but sometimes you just want some easy like 3-ish star reads. And I definitely enjoyed this week. So definitely go over to Freya's channel and watch her video where I choose her reads for the week. I'm so excited to watch her video and see her reactions to the books that I picked for her. And her videos are obviously just like wonderful. I love them. She's one of my comfort booktubers. So yeah, I'm gonna leave you guys here for now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like and a comment. If you don't know what to comment down below, let me know what you are currently reading. If you like me, subscribe, do that bell thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!